Hey guys, how's it going? This is gonna be my fifth time, I think, trying to record this. Every time I've gotten about halfway through the replay for some kind of interruption or some kind of fuck up. Hopefully this time everything goes well. So this time it's gonna be a live commentary instead of a normal analysis. So I can get this done in one try and get it done in one go without having to worry too much about anything else. And two, I just wanted to give it a shot. So just before we get into things, I ordered a processor, so that should be coming in either Monday or Tuesday, and then I'll be able to do stuff that isn't shitposting on 4chan and like playing Starcraft. Finally. However, the processor I got is like I poured $65 into it. It's nothing amazing, nothing that great. Well, sadly, so I'm looking for a job, hoping I can get hired. A lot of places don't seem to be too interested in hiring me because I'm only 17, not quite 18 yet. So that might be a little bit rough for a little while. But I'm gonna keep trying. Also, I'm going to be able to upload once I get my new processor. I'm gonna be able to upload in higher quality because I'm going to be using Windows 7 instead of Windows XP. I'm going to be able to use something other than Windows Movie Maker. And what that means is I can use something other than MPEGs, because the only file type I can really use that I can actually download these VODs in is MPEGs. AVIs don't work unless I like reformat them or some stupid shit. And it's really just a giant mess. Other than that, like, it's really rough just like trying to upload it in higher quality and trying to get it to higher quality, and it's really a giant mess. Really sorry. On top of that, I also plan on making a what is it called? It's almost like a crash course video on Starcraft. Like, I'll make a couple for each race, just generally going through every couple of things. And I also, even if not just like making a tutorial series, just like do like something daily every day, kind of like what Day 9 did, but for Brood War. He obviously started the Day 9 daily on Brood War, but it's kind of upsetting that that he switched over to Starcraft 2. However, I understand that Starcraft 2 was big at the time, and you know, there's just not enough resources out there today for Brood War, so I want to be able to contribute by doing that. I don't know if there's anything. I am going to be hosting a amateur tournament that is going to be available for everybody to participate in. Not quite everybody, but like primarily D- ranks on the ICCup server. If you're completely new, if you're noob, not that great at the game, if you've literally never touched an RTS before, this is going to be the place for you. I can't assure that you're not going to get wrecked, but it's just going to be a place that I just want people to be able to go and have fun. So let's get into this game a little bit. We've got Dragoons coming out now already from the Protoss player. A pylon went up in the top, so that way you can try to high tech. There is 2, maybe 3 Marines now at the front holding at the ramp. That is going to be a little bit of a threat. What Bisu will try to do is he's going to try to poke in and get a little bit aggressive with those Dragoons, try to get some damage down. However, he will want to be very careful because he might lose those Dragoons to those Marines if he's not careful. He's using that probe to scout around the map a little bit to see if there's any hidden stuff, or to see how to see what's going on in general. So there's no third base yet, of course, not quite yet. Terran starts to get really aggressive with those Marines, so he does need to be careful. He's still waiting for that other Dragoon to get it over there before he can actually start doing some damage. He starts to spot some vultures. That is going to be able to clean up some of the probe that was scouting around the map. There's a little bit of fighting over here. He does, Bisu does pick off a Marine. However, the Dragoon control is a little bit wonky, and he doesn't manage to pick off a second one. So we have a Vulture starting to move up into Bisu's base, trying to get in there. He does pull the probe over there to be able to hold it a little bit longer, and he does pull a Dragoon to deal with that Vulture. However, not before losing that those three probes, which is pretty major. The SCV does manage to get in there, and he is going to scout the timing on the Robo Bay, Robo facility. He does not know exactly when it's coming out, but he knows that it's there now. He knows that observers are going to start to get out soon, or even shuttles. So he needs to be very careful of that. Shuttles, especially early on, before missile turrets get out. An observatory does go down though, so that is definitely observers. The shuttle can pose a really big threat because if there are drops, at like Dragoon drops, that could be major, or even if not Dragoon drops, or Zealot drops, like Reavers that early are massive and can really just end the game. So Bisu did have a pylon up where his natural third base would be, but it does start to get taken out by the vultures. He does not want to move his Dragoons away from his current base, because otherwise he will lose a ton of probes. Those pylons get put down to the front. That's going to start to make a wall. He does get a second gas, so that way he can start mining all of that up and start teching and making those gas heavy units. Observer finally comes out. He's going to be able to start pushing out and start clearing out some spider mines. That pylon does get finished off. He does know how many vultures there are now, or at least a fair number. He knows that there's a fair number out there. That is going to be pretty vital information, because he just knows in general how many mines there are going to be. And generally, Protoss, those Dragoons, he can't push out without that first observer, because he's going to lose a lot to mines otherwise. Those Dragoons, their attacks are projectile based. They don't come out instantaneously. So what the Protoss actually can't do is he can't like move up slowly and then like hold position and kill the mines, because those mines will get up and start moving towards his Dragoons before the attack even finishes connecting. So he wants to be very careful of that. He starts to see some missile turrets go down, so he has to be careful with his observers. He can't be too aggressive. He can't get in there to scout very effectively. However, he does manage to sneak one in. However, he might not be able to sneak very many more in. Stargate goes down, Citadel of Adun finishes, and a Templar Archives goes down. He will be adding a Forge onto that very soon. He sees that there are a ton of siege tanks going down. Third base starts to get taken, and he actually took a third base of his own. Generally, in this matchup, something that gets said a lot is that the Protoss effectively acts like a Zerg in this matchup, where the Protoss will want to take as many expansions as possible to try to hold off like any attack, sorry, my bad. More so to prevent the Terran from taking too many more bases and almost starve him of minerals, starve him of resources, and that's going to be really major, because that means he could once the Terran starts to get mined out, he's going to get really desperate for trying to move out, for bases and try to move out, and he's going to be moving his army all over the place to be able to take those expansions. He's either going to need to dedicate a couple of tanks to defending and then moving the rest of his army around, or otherwise he's almost screwed, because he'll need to rely on moving his entire army around, and especially bases that are up on ramps. That's going to be really, really hard for the Terran, and especially with this much high ground, uneven surface on the center of the map. It gets a really complicated moving around for the Terran and to deal with that stuff, especially with the ability to miss in this game. I'm not sure if you can actually miss in Starcraft 2, but Starcraft Brood War, if you're attacking from the low ground up to the high ground, you actually have, I think, a 30% chance to miss. I could be wrong about that. He does load up a couple of zealots into the shuttle there. He's taking a fourth base at the top center. He starts to put pylons down. He's going to try to put cannons there, so that way he can defend against vultures much more easily. So we don't know what's going to be going on with that shuttle yet. That could be pretty vital, because he could either drop those onto the tanks, or he could use them to try to drop into mineral lines and harass, or just drop them into the base and just attack like the production and just try to force the army around. So he's going to try to get a little bit of out of control of that shuttle. We don't know yet. Might not. Might just be completely countered by how many turrets there are. The thing with the turrets that the Terran is making is that means that a lot of minerals is getting poured into that. And generally, it's okay for Terran to spend minerals because he really just needs he needs a lot more gas than minerals. But the thing is, that just means that some stuff is going to be a little bit slower, and he's also dedicating a lot of SCVs to making those. So that means a lot less mining going on, or just more SCVs just on the map that he could be dedicating that supply to other stuff. So the cannon goes down at the front of the natural, so that way he doesn't need to move his army back completely, and he can only just move a couple of Dragoons back. 3 cannons go down at 4th base. So what we're going to start to see Protoss do is he's going to be playing not necessarily aggressively, but cautiously. He's going to be moving out cautiously. He's going to be going in with his army first, like with a small group of Dragoons, because that's all you really need to be able to deal with a Vulture. And he's going to be clearing out these bases because he knows that the Terran is going to be keeping Vultures at majority of these bases to scout out when the Protoss is expanding and when he's getting these bases. And he knows where the Protoss is expanding. And knowing that stuff is very vital because that means the Terran is going to be able to counterattack. He's going to be able to do whatever the heck he wants, essentially, especially with those Vultures, because he can kill so many probes with one Vulture and just kiting in general. And they only do 6 damage versus Dragoons and heavy units and buildings. But the thing is, they do so much damage against light units, against small units like these probes. It takes 3 shots, and that means 3 Vultures focusing on one to kill one probe, and that's going to be major. Not only that, but these Vultures, they also put down spider mines, which will do, I think, 125 damage if they attack, or if they hit, if they get off. Also, a fleet beacon gets put down at the natural. He puts it at the natural rather than the main base because if the Terran scans that is going to be massive, and he's going to get so much information. He's going to be ready for those carriers, and he's going to be able to create Goliaths to be able to defend that. But back to the Vultures, they just provide so much vision and so much map control, and even if they can't actually fight back the army, and even though they do so little damage to these Dragoons and Zealots, they just give you so much map control, and like running in and just putting those spider mines down and just attacking like that, and then having the tanks in the back, they do so much damage just with the mines alone, if you can get the mines off, and if like they're getting put down while you're in the middle of an attack, because the Protoss will have to split focus between dealing with mines and pushing forward and attacking tanks, and it's just so hard for the Protoss to deal with. He also kills the Bisu actually kills another Vulture down on the bottom left, and he takes a, what is that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th base, and he also took a 7th in the top right. Wait, I could be counting wrong here. No, that is 7 bases now. He's taking the top right and bottom left, and he's starting to wall off now actually in the top right, so that way he doesn't need to bring his army back. He's going to be able to deal with Vultures. However, if tanks start to get up there and siege, he's going to be taking a lot of damage. Carriers are going to start getting produced very soon, especially that fleet beacon, and 2 more Stargates actually getting added on. Arbiters start to come out, so that is going to give him a slight advantage, especially if he stasises the science vessels that start to come out. And also just having that stealth is just going to be so big and so major for the Protoss player here, especially with so many tanks and Vultures coming out, and almost no Goliaths, and actually I think no Goliaths have been spotted yet. So we see mines all over the place. Another Arbiter coming out, that could potentially mean recalls going into the base. 2 more Stargates actually getting added on. So the Protoss is looking to add a ton of carriers. We know for a fact they're going to be carriers because of that fleet beacon, and that is going to be so major because there's only so much that the Terran can do, and he's not going to be ready, especially with so many carriers just catching him off guard, and he has no Goliaths to be able to deal with that. What was it called? There's going to be a couple of observers getting dealt with. There's not much he can really do about it. Just some division denial from the Terran coming out, especially with the science vessels, and it's just going to be generally very annoying. The observers aren't too expensive, however they do cost gas, so the Protoss will want to save as much as they can on that. A couple of vultures attacking the bottom left here, however they are going to get cleaned up by a couple of dragoons that get sent down there, as well as just the cannons. Or actually no, he doesn't send any dragoons down there. He's going to be attacking this bottom center base. The arbiters coming in here. He's actually dropping the zealots down with the shuttle, and he's going to be cleaning up some of these spider mines. There has to be some kind of counterattack coming in. There's going to be science vessels. However, he does get the stasis down. That means they're going to be acting neutral. Those science vessels are going to be neutral, and they can't do anything. He can't actually deal with this cloaked units. The only thing he can do is take out these arbiters. The scans are going to be going down to be able to deal with that. However, there are also Goliaths there. He's going to be able to take the arbiters out. He is going to be cleaning up his bottom center base, though. Bisu is going to be cleaning up his bottom center base. There's a couple of tanks here to deal with this. However, they are getting picked off by those zealots. That bottom center base is gone. It's going to be dead. It can't, even if he lifts off, those dragoons are going to be there to deal with it. Some more tanks moving in from the other side, so Mong is going to be able to clean this off. It is not that big of a deal. However, for Bisu, however, it is a big deal for Mong, because he is going to be losing that base. He is going to need to rebuild, and he's not going to be able to mine off of however many bases he's going to be on right now. We can only assume that the main base is probably mined out, and the natural is going to start to get mined out very soon. So Mong is going to need those bases. Gateways start to get put down everywhere, and so that way he can produce units everywhere and just be able to defend from so many different angles. High Templars start to come out. He also has carriers now, and he sees so many mines all over the place. And that bottom left is still getting hammered away by those tanks. Before it was vultures, those tanks that dealt with the bottom center base are coming to attack the bottom left base. There's almost nothing that he has to defend against this. The cannons die so quickly, maybe 3 or 4 tank shots. So there's only so much that Bisu can do against it, especially if he doesn't have an army to deal with that. The army that he had got thrown away on the bottom center base. However, he is rebuilding very fast. The carriers are starting to come out now. He wants to be careful with those carriers, though, because those carriers, those interceptors that the carriers have, cost minerals. So if he actually loses those, that's actually going to be pretty big, because he is going to be losing a lot more resources than he actually spends on the carriers themselves to be able to get that. Because not only is he spending on the carriers themselves, he's also spending on the interceptors that they have. If he doesn't focus fire using Goliaths, he's going to be losing so much more minerals, and he's just going to be losing those interceptors, and he needs to rebuild those interceptors. Even if he doesn't lose those carriers, he's losing a lot of money on those interceptors. But the thing is, that is exactly why he takes so many bases. He has all these bases, and he's able to. He might not be able to defend them, but he's going to be getting a lot of money from them. He's mining off of 3 bases now, 4 bases. He's going to eventually rebuild that bottom left, hopefully. He has observers all over the map. He has so much vision control, and he's going to be able to deal with those Goliaths fairly well, especially since there's such a low count. Those tanks are going to absolutely get destroyed by the carriers, and stasis is actually go down. He's actually going to be able to defend against this fairly well, but there's still so many tanks. He's able to just hammer away at that wall that Bisu has, and he also has Dark Templar. Scans are going to need to go down on these guys, and they're going to get cleaned up almost instantaneously. However, the carriers finally reached there. The stasis lasted long enough. However, that wall is going to it gets splashed down. Even if those tanks miss, going from attacking from high ground from low ground to high ground, he's still getting so much damage down. Side storms start to go down on those tanks, and there's only so much that the Protoss can do to defend this base, and it's just getting absolutely destroyed. There's Dark Templar that were coming out of that, but there's nothing that he can really do about it now. And so many Goliaths, he needs to make sure that those don't walk under and like pick off those carriers one by one. That is a major thing that is just a horrible threat the Protoss player. He doesn't want to lose those carriers. He wants to hold on to them as long as he can. And otherwise, those tanks are just sieging away at those gateways, and he's losing so much production. And that's not too much production that's going on here, but but that production allowed him to, get different angles on of attack. He's actually going back to macro because he's kind of getting high supply, but he lost his base and he's not mining from it anymore. He lacks those fresh bases. He doesn't have nearly as much anymore. Those storms go down on those Goliaths, and he's able to deal with them fairly well. Those are going to be low health, and he's going to need to either repair them, or otherwise those are just going to be low health Goliaths, and those carriers are going to be able to deal with them very easily. There's zealots there to help fight that off, and that center right base actually got lifted off. Our Protoss player actually isn't producing nearly as much as he should. He has a lot of idle gateways. However, he's producing as much as he can, especially with being previously at max. However, the Goliaths can't exactly get in and get under those carriers because of those tanks in the way, and also I don't think there are any scans left. There's obviously no turrets there, so he can't deal with any of that. He can't get in there with science vessels, so that is going to be a massive problem for this Terran. He's still just flying that command center there because he can't really do much else. There's only so much he can do to defend against that, especially with so many carriers. These carriers have really, really caught this Terran player off guard, and there's not much that he can do right now. What he needs to do is build up those Goliaths and just try to pick off and do all these counterattacks where these carriers aren't, because these carriers move so slowly, and they also need to, those fresh carriers, they still need to make interceptors, so they can't really attack yet. He's also trying to pick off those science vessels. He does pick them off very easily because they are so fragile. They're like glass. And he's just trying to go for these counterattacks, go for these smaller attacks, and just attack these carriers almost indirectly, because he won't. Bisu's slowly going to be running out of production. He's not going to be able to deal with do very much. I think that natural base actually does no longer has anything. The center left base got taken out completely. He's not mining very much. He's only mining off his third and fourth base, and that top right base is only starting to get going again. The bottom left got taken by Mong, and this isn't exactly working out too much for Bisu as it was before. He really needs to start to get some more of this control. He's only at 140 supply. He had 200 before, but the thing is, he's losing so much just by defending this, and he actually starts to. I think he recalled in the bottom left with the. Yeah, he did recall in the bottom left with the Arbiters. However, there is a fair army there. A bunch of vultures coming in to attack this base. However, all these carriers are going to be able to clean that up. He's going to need more cannons there to be able to defend this effectively. And he does go back to mining. However, there's so many tanks all over the place. There's tanks attacking the top center base, and he's just getting hammered away at. But the thing is, there's no scans to be able to defend those. So there is a Dark Templar that's actually going to be able to pick those up. But the thing is, that is going to halt that mining for a little while. And he did lose quite a few cannons, so he's losing a lot of minerals there. And he really needs to get these bases back up and running. That top center base is going to be running out very soon. All these bases are running out so quickly. He needs to be able to get his foothold and be able to start mining again. If he wants to stay in this game, he's going to need to start taking the naturals of those spawns if he wants to do anything. Those vultures moving around so quickly, and there's only so much that he can do because those carriers move so slowly. They're so bad at giving you map control. You really need a ground army mixed in with those. Those are really only just to give you air superiority, force your opponent to start using some more of his gas, especially since Protoss is going to be spending so many of his minerals and gas on tanks and vultures earlier on. Vultures are super cost effective because you can put as many mines down. Well, you can put 3 mines down per vulture, but the thing is, it only costs 75 minerals to make those. You don't need gas. Those vultures are so strong and so cost effective in killing workers and putting down those mines to force time to be wasted on those spider mines, and just forcing observers to be all over the place and so many more observers to get produced. And it's really just a nuisance. It's a giant nuisance to the Protoss player. He starts to put a pylon down at the natural of the top right expansion. He's looking to take that soon. But generally the Terran these are just very annoying. He's making more arbiters, probably to get the get recalls, as well as to get stasis down, and that's gonna be really major, because it's gonna be able to make his smaller army into almost something bigger, because he's able to just deal with that stuff just so much more easily. And the arbiters, so tanky, are able to just fly right in there, fly over a couple of Goliaths, and just get in there and just start doing damage, and recall in those units, and just force some army get pulled down to the bottom left. Mong actually has the natural at that bottom left, so he might actually be mining off of more bases than Bisu right now. There's so many vultures all over the place. It's really hard for Bisu to really keep up and like deal with all of this going on all at once. And there's so many Goliaths now. He really can't move those carriers anywhere close to them unless he has stasis ready, and he does get them successfully. There's a bunch of ghosts on the map now, and they are getting picked up by the Dark Templar. However, that could mean that there's nukes going down, or he's going to be using them to actually, you can't even EMP. He's going to be using them to lock down the Arbiters. EMPs are on science vessels in this game. Dark Templars start to come out. They're acting like a really big threat. They're really dangerous. However, they do die really quickly, and they cost a lot of gas. So that is a little bit of a drawback. Mong is going to be denying bases, doing whatever he can right now. He is losing a fair bit of interceptors. He's losing a lot of minerals just by using these. He's going to be trying to take out these Goliaths one by one, because these Goliaths can't quite get in there and step right under the carriers and pick them off. Especially with the Arbiters there. He needs scans. There's no turrets, I don't think. It's really hard to see the turrets if there are any, especially with all those interceptors. He starts to mine from that base in the top right. He is going to need a lot more probes, and he's going to need a lot more workers, and he's going to need a lot more bases, because there's only so much that he can do with the amount of bases he has. He's going to be running dry on money. He's mining the gas so little because he has depleted geysers. The geysers in this game, by the way, oh my god, there's mines go down, and they get activated by the Dark Templar and take out a ton of vultures, and I think a tank as well. There's so much damage getting put down there, and those tanks getting quite a bit of damage down on them by those Dark Templar. The carriers are in the top right, so they're able to deal with those very easily. They're not able to do very much harassing. He does take the third base at the top right, and he's generally getting a good foothold. So back to the geysers, they actually can mine in this game. You can mine from them even if they are depleted. It's just you get a significantly reduced amount from them. But that means that there is you can almost infinitely get gas. So that is really good, really awesome that it's in this game. It's really just a little bit of a cool thing. So he's actually going a little bit aggressive here. A ton of carriers here, and they're just slowly getting picked off. Lockdown's going down, and unlike stasis, you can't attack units that are locked down, and that is just really hard to deal with, because you know you get locked down, your arbiters get locked down, and then you can just move in and walk under and start doing so much more damage. And arbiters starting to get picked off, interceptors starting to get picked off, and there's not much Bisu can really do with this army other than fly it around and try to counterattack. He's trying to move over terrain that the Goliaths can't really do. However, he has to do a lot of counterattacking. There's so many Goliaths, he really can't deal with this. If those Goliaths get under there, he's going to be losing all those carriers, and he's going to be losing so much. So many counterattacks going down. There's a bunch of vultures moving out to top right, and he actually denied any mining from that base. I don't know if there's actually anything mining from that base, but if there was, that is pretty major. Storm's going down on them. That High Templar is going to get picked off, though. He's not mining at all right now. Bisu's not mining at all right now. There's so little he can do. He can barely mine the top right. The other base there is probably going to get focused down. He knows there's a ton of vultures. He knows there's a ton of tanks. Even if there are vultures there, and even if he has cannons there, those vultures are going to be able to get in and get that damage down. They move so quickly, they just need to get in and do a ton of damage to the probes. They do a ton of damage to the probes. And just get in, get out, and it's done. And the tanks paired with this, just sieging up, he's just going to be losing so much. It is inevitably going to be coming down to almost a base race, and he really can't afford to be doing this right now. He needs to try to defend these bases, otherwise he is going to be losing quite a bit. I don't know if he has too much to be able to defend this. Actually, he actually recalls to the top right of the map. He isn't able to bring those extra couple of carriers though. He does have those carriers down the bottom left, so he is going to be able to have those for a little while. The interceptors actually got pulled up over there with them, so they had to fly all the way down to the bottom left, and they were pretty much sitting ducks. They couldn't do anything. They didn't have interceptors to attack with. Elias do pick them off. He did lose 2 carriers there. That is a little bit unfortunate. He's going to need to start mining from that 3rd base. This is looking too good for Bisu. Mong is in great shape. He has a ton of Goliaths. He's able to defend against all of this stuff. But those carriers are still a very major threat. He really can't just overlook that. He can take as many bases as he can, but if his main base gets absolutely destroyed by those tanks, by those carriers actually, he's gonna be losing so much, and it's really just rough. And there's spider mines all over the place. Those Bisu loses a couple of High Templar to that. It's really hard. There's more counterattacks going down, and more observers actually getting produced, so that's giving a fair bit of vision. But he's losing so much. He's losing so much to these vultures. These vultures are so cost effective. They only cost 75 minerals each, and he's producing so many of them. That's like nothing. That's nothing. And then they take out the probes, and they just do so much damage. They put down mines. They give you map control. They just do so much. However, there is a ton of tanks that are out of position. Those High Templar get picked off almost instantaneously. However, there's not much that Bisu can do. There's so many Goliaths, so many tanks. He can't move his ground army in, and those carriers can't get in close enough to be able to deal with those tanks because the Goliaths are right there behind them. They have their range upgrades, so they can shoot so far. They can shoot those rockets so far, and they can deal with those carriers so easily. There's so many observers coming out now, so even if one observer does get picked off, he is able to clear out those mines much more easily. Lockdowns though, those ghosts just get lockdowns, and they lock down the carriers, and they take so much damage, and there's not much that these carriers can really do anymore because those carriers can't get attacked while in lockdown. A really big fight. He starts to start picking individual Goliaths off, but the thing is he's losing so many interceptors. Those interceptors do cost money, so that is going to be big. He's going to be trying to move his army around and try to move them into a more favorable position because they are up there and defending the top right base, but there's nothing over there. Bisu does seem to be pulling through with this though. He's killing a ton of Goliaths, and these Goliaths aren't able to get in there and pick off. But the thing is, these interceptors are picking off individual units, and these tanks here, he's neglecting these. Mong is neglecting these tanks, and he's forgetting about them. They're just sitting there, not doing anything, not even retreating, and not even playing aggressive with them. These Goliaths are just, his attention seems to be somewhere else. These Goliaths are moving under, trying to get under the carriers. They can only do so much damage. These carriers could be taking so much more damage. A big attack, maybe not a big attack, but a small attack with a large amount of vultures going on the top right. It does get forced away by those zealots and dragoons and also the cannons. However, Bisu is barely mining at all. That top right base is starting to get mined out. He also has the 3rd base in the top right that is mining a fair bit, but that natural is not. He does go for that command center that is starting to get picked off. However, there's so many Goliaths there to defend that. There's a ton of tanks and Goliaths actually in the top in the center, moving towards the top right. Bisu needs to be very careful because he can lose that top right base, and then he will be not mining at all. His top left is not mining at all, other than gas. He's not mining, and if he loses that top right, he's not going to have any minerals. He's not going to be able to produce anything else. That entire bottom right map of the bottom right of the map is controlled by Mong. He does take out 2 expansions though, so he is in fair control of this game. He does have a Dark Templar there in the center right, so he's going to be able to pick off anything that goes over there. He's going to be able to deny any mining there. That's going to be major. There's a couple of vultures moving in towards the top right, but there are a ton of tanks paired with that. He's going to need an Arbiter or something to recall He is going to have a recall. He's going to be able to recall and defend this. He has nine carriers there defending that. He's going to be able to. He's not going to be able to defend that base. I don't think he's going to be able to save that Nexus, but he is going to be able to kill all this off. There's a bunch of lockdowns going down now. Lockdowns going onto not only carriers but arbiters. He's not able to cloak anymore because of that. He's losing so many carriers because of all those Goliaths. They're able to step in under finally and be able to defend that. But so many can't produce any more carriers. He's going to be running out of gas at this rate. And he has so many minerals now, he can start to make ground army. He's going to be able to start dealing with this. He needs to start making zealots and maybe even dragoons to be able to deal with this. But the thing is, the tanks do so much damage to them. He's going back to slowly producing ground units and making gateway units. But the thing is, he's losing all these carriers. These carriers are giving him the advantage that he needs in this game to be able to traverse over terrain that the Goliaths can't and get into weird positions and put them in advantageous positions, and also be able to take those to be able to take those expansions out. There are a bunch of High Templar here. He's going to try storming. He's going to try to storm these units. They are going to be pretty effective against these tanks, but the thing is, these Goliaths are actually getting picked off, even by that few number of carriers. These carriers are actually sandwiching. Oh my god, that GG! He does pull through. Bisu does pull through, and he is successful. And I can only assume that because he took out so many bases, he was able to starve out his opponent Mong. And he is successful. That was a really good game, really solid game, really amazing, especially with that carrier play. It was phenomenal. That was a phenomenal game. I loved it, and I hope you guys loved it too. Anyways, thanks for watching. Peace out.